Today is his biggest match later on in the day, 10-2 against CMQ. So we're going to see if they're both still undefeated when we get there, who the top dog really is.
That's going to be an interesting match, and Will and I were both talking before, and they were asking us.
We don't have their deck list here for game one.
Pope coming out right away from Unstoppable.
And Oxalet's got to be regretting. So he split the archers in the back. When you split archers in the back, that's a very passive play, right? You put 1.5 elixir in each lane. You're just trying to be a little careful on your defense. But when your opponent plays elixir collector, you go, I wish I would have attacked right then.
Yep, and here he comes with an Ice Golem graveyard push. Oxalet notorious for his graveyards. And let's see if the graveyard can get some damage here, but it looks like the Night Witch is going to be able to defend this pretty well. But Oxalet still gets a pretty decent chunk of damage with that archer in the back chipping away.
The skeletons were not a threat, but the archers at the river were not being shot for a while. No. So between the poison and the archers, gets about 1,000 damage onto the tower. Counterattack coming in right now with the Battle Ram.
And the Tombstone, we've seen the Tombstone a lot today so far.
I think it's going to be the MVP of this week because I don't think going into last week people were expecting Battle Ram to be that dominant. People were still in the Tombstone or the Tornado mindset. But since Tornado took a nerf, people have switched from Hog back to Battle Ram, and it's been really tough for people.
Oxalet already back to that graveyard. Log is going to come out from Unstoppable here, and Ice Spirit should clean up the skeletons, and the tower will take a little bit of damage, but oh, it goes below into triple digits.
I think Oxalet's getting the better of the exchange. They're going back and forth, right? Unstoppable is trying to make these counterattacks after he defends the graveyard. You defend with the Night Witch. You want to use that Night Witch on the counterattack, but the addition of Electro Wizard and Tombstone into Oxalet's deck has made it very hard to get through. That's just, you got Forked Bolt stunning everyone, you got the Tombstone putting out skeletons and being a building.
Yeah.
Tough life.
No, if I were Oxalet, I might poison that pump on the right-hand side because he doesn't really need to do it. He has a couple things going down. And Tombstone's going to come out, but I think Oxalet misplayed. Oh no, the Tombstone's still going to pull the Battle Ram. It looked like he played a little too far back after seeing that first match with Lucifer.
It may have been because the Battle Ram with Lucifer was already closer. Now we got a second Battle Ram coming. The Battle Ram was just stopped. I think he predicts the Tombstone is out of cycle, so he's trying to get another Battle Ram down before that Tombstone can lock. But that Electro Wizard...
Getting a giant skeleton coming out from Oxalet.
Oh, man! Who would have expected this card? So we saw it last week in just one single game, and it lost, to be fair, so it really wasn't the best choice there. I wonder why he thought the giant skeleton was the card to play in this match.
Yeah. Poison coming down onto those two Musketeers on the right-hand side. Let's see. Unstoppable's going to support this left-hand single Musketeer. Let's see if the Electro Wizard is going to come down the Tombstone. Oh, the Tombstone dies! But the Log comes down, yeah.
The Archers and the Log are enough to break the Ram before it hits the tower. Of course, the Battle Ram, when it hits the tower, does double damage on a charge. If you can just break it, a tile in front of the tower, you saved yourself hundreds of damage.
Yeah, I think Oxalet took a huge breath of relief when that Battle Ram went down after the Tombstone fell.
And Three Musketeers is normally an incredibly strong matchup against Graveyard. Unstoppable has to be, or sorry, Oxalet has to be thrilled that he got most of his damage in beforehand. This could turn around and go to Unstoppable. I've played a lot of Splash Yard, and man, Three Musketeers is a terrible matchup for you.
Oh, yeah. Giant Skeleton's going to come down to stop this entire push, but it lets Unstoppable build up a little bit more. That Musketeer is not in range of the tower, so it's just going to sit at the river and pick away.
There's another Three Musketeers. I think Unstoppable's got the right idea. Keep the pressure on, continually. Oh, he's trying to go for the win right here.
Yeah,
he's going to let those two Musketeers.
For the win. The Skeletons are going to build up in the back, and the Skeletons are going to get a couple more damage, and the Poison will take it, and Oxalet gets the victory with the giant skeleton.
And that was, I mean, that's honestly a bad matchup. When we talk about, a lot of times we say, oh, it's rock, paper, scissors. You know, if I play Three Musketeers and they play Graveyard, they can't win. But Oxalet proves that if you're...
was Ice Golem Graveyard.
Yeah, especially if you're expecting cards like Bandit and Night Witch. I mean, Giant Skeleton's actually pretty good against both of those cards. And it turned out to be, it actually would have been good against the double Musketeer side, but we didn't see it. So what will Unstoppable bring here in game two? Will he mix it up? So far, it looks like he might be playing the same deck.
Yeah.
Oxalet
going for the punish here. Minions are in the deck of Unstoppable this time, though, but the Bats will clean up the Minions. Mega Minion going to come down to support as well. Here comes a Goblin Gang. Does Oxalet have a Logger Zapper? Is he going to let those Spear Goblins clean up the
Bats are building up.
There's so many Bats.
And while they're not hitting the tower as much, taking out a bunch of pumps off the Elixir Collector is devastating because what your opponent did is over, right? Like you were like, oh, well, you know, I took some damage, but at least I got an Elixir advantage. Now that's not even true for Unstoppable. We are 45 seconds into this match. Oxalet's already up a tower.
Yeah, the Giant pulled aggro of everything. The Spear Goblins took out the Night Witch, which allowed more Bats to spawn in, and then the Zap came down and missed 2 Bats, and they just cleaned up that tower with the Giant, and this is not looking good for Unstoppable.
Not at all. He put the Elixir Collector way out on the side, hoping that what Unstoppable was afraid of is he puts the Elixir Collector behind his tower, then a Graveyard push comes in, the Skeletons eat up the Elixir Collector, and you're done for. So we got a Lava Hound coming out. I assume it's a Lava Loon deck or at least some sort of Lava beatdown.
Yeah, most likely.
We saw the pump come out though, and then Oxalate counter with a Miner. Meanwhile, he had a Bandit on the left side. Bandit hit the tower. So Unstoppable is just like, cannot seem to catch a break so far in this match.
No, and those bats are going to stock up with the Spear Goblins in the back. They're going to get a lot of damage in. Here comes the balloon. The log is going to come down. Doesn't really do much there. But the balloon, the Mega Minion's going to retarget to the Lava Hound here any second. And the balloon gets to the tower with barely any health and gets a drop off. Wow.
We're not counting out Unstoppable yet. He's got about a minute and double elixir time, which does favor his deck more than Oxalate's deck to try and take that tower. Now here's an advantage going for Unstoppable. You got 2 towers. Your opponent, they try to graveyard or something like that. You've got 2 towers shooting it. All he's got to do is figure out how to stop the giant Night Witch.
Yeah.
And really, there's no more time to leave yourself vulnerable with an Elixir Collector. He's not going to play an Elixir Collector and then get punished.
Yeah, Unstoppable looking up to build up a huge push to take this left-hand tower down, but Oxalate trying to build up as much of a defense as he can, but Unstoppable does have the Lightning spell, and it's going to come down. It's not going to hit the Night Witch, so the bats, no more bats will spawn in. They'll get caught up on the minions, but Unstoppable's left-hand tower is down to 285. That balloon is going to fall, and another balloon coming out from Unstoppable immediately.
And we just saw the Lightning come out. Night Witch is not that fast at hitting, doesn't attack the air, of course. The bats are the only thing you can use. It might take the tower right here.
Yeah, the balloon takes a tower, but Unstoppable, again, not looking good with 10 seconds left. All he has to do, a Giant's going to come in, the bats will come in, clean up. Unstoppable knows this is over.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you could just stop this push, there is a world where you could get a Lava Hound push to counter. But remember, both decks have Lightning, so you'd have to somehow keep the pressure on and keep your opponent from saving up 6 and hitting their Lightning. But you can't really do that with the Lava Loon deck.
No.
You're so slow, your prediction, I'm going to have to put down 12 Elixir on the board, and during that time, you just Lightning me for the win.
Yeah, and it's not like one of those Hog Cycle decks where you can just keep applying pressure and your opponent's like, crap, I can't play my Lightning. It's a Lava Loon deck.
Instead of CMQ, well, actually, CMQ's up 2 as well. Sorry. But they share the same differential, which means that technically they are tied depending on how the final matches play out.
Yes, so CMC and Oxalate could potentially end in a tie right here, and here's the last push. Just Unstoppable's like, I'm done. He knew it.
The center Giant did so much, because if the 2 towers were able to shoot, they would have cleaned those bats up very quickly. Bats move fast, but they're one hit by towers.
2 matches in, 8 left to go. These players still have a lot of room to solidify themselves, but remember, this is the final week. By the end of today, we will know exactly who sits where on this ladder. Right now, Unstoppable is looking really in a tight spot. He's 0-4. He still has 3 games left, so he can potentially pull himself out. And Oxalate posturing himself to potentially be top 2. And remember, these players are playing for a $1 million prize pool. There's so much on the line for these guys, and they have to understand what their potential could be.
I'm kind of sad. Unstoppable, losing that game.
Yeah.
Unstoppable, super stoppable.
He's very, very stoppable.
Gosh, look at that. First place is $15,000.
Yeah, there's so much money on the line. At least Unstoppable is.
Round robin was for the 15,000, so I was like, yes.
You like
No.
that?
Oh, I already got 50.
And for those of you that don't recognize that voice, we have here the legend himself, the undefeated